The state of Iowa is known worldwide for its agriculture. With over 35 million livestock raised in our state each year, it's important to find ways to keep the industry healthy. Our next Iowa entrepreneur story takes us to a rapidly growing technology community in the Iowa State University Research Park. Here, businesses are surrounded by a major research university, federal laboratories, and an ecosystem that supports technology startups. In 2005, longtime Iowa State professor Dr. Hank Harris looked to turn his research into a business, HarrisVaccines.
Well, HarrisVaccines is an animal vaccine company that utilizes a very disruptive technology. What I mean by that is that it's new to the industry, this method that we use to make vaccines.
The traditional method for making vaccines started with a killed or modified live virus. This process can take months or even years. Hank utilized a human vaccine technology that takes the genetic code of the virus electronically and synthesizes it so it can be produced on a larger scale. This process takes weeks instead of years.
We can make vaccines very quickly, and we only need the gene from the infectious agent from the farm, and we make the vaccine specifically to the farm, and it's quite a new technology and interesting to the producer and the veterinarians.
Hank Harris has devoted his career to finding ways to protect our livestock from ever-changing diseases. His passion began on an Iowa farm over 60 years ago.
Well, I think, when you grow up on a farm in the 50s in Iowa, in a small, typical livestock grain operation, I was extremely fortunate to be exposed to all aspects of agriculture, and I was particularly interested in the care of our local veterinarian when he came to vaccinate our pigs or take care of our cattle, and that just really stimulated me to become a veterinarian.
Hank went to college to study animal science. He was later hired by Iowa State University to work in veterinary medicine. Throughout his career, Hank has always looked to utilize new technology.
He's always been an early adapter to things. Even growing up, I recognized that a lot. I believe in one of his previous jobs, he was the first to really push for the company to get a fax machine and email, and I think he even bought an Apple Newton when that first came out. So he's always 10 years ahead of, even 10 or 20 years ahead of where most people are. So he's always thinking the long term. And even though things may not happen as fast as he'd like, he's always looking for the next challenge or next problem to solve.
I think the most important thing that we can do now for educating young people is to teach them problem-solving skills and try to avoid the old rote memory approach to teaching. All of the information is so readily available that really what young people need is just simply solving problems, tools.
In 2005, Hank and other Iowa State researchers solved a problem. They discovered a way to neutralize the porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome virus that was wiping out the swine industry. In a couple of months, Hank, with the help of the Iowa SBDC, launched HarrisVaccines.
As an entrepreneur, the opportunity that I envisioned with this technology had to do with the fact that vaccines need to match what's going on exactly in the farm. And I knew that this technology would be very good for that. But what was really surprising is when we presented this to the regulatory authorities in the government around 2007 and 2008, they told us that they were intrigued by the technology, but that they didn't really have a way to categorize us.
Going to the USDA and them having not a regulatory pathway for us to go down. At the time, even literally said that this would be impossible to get a license for. But that didn't deter my father at all. For a number of years, it took us almost 6 years to get our first USDA approval in 2012.
Dr. Hank Harris grew up in central Iowa. He raised his family here, and he wanted to do the same with his company, which gives them a unique advantage.
I think that being in the ag industry and being in Iowa and seeing the effects of PED and avian influenza firsthand makes the goal or the challenge to solve those problems even more prevalent. Having our roots here has really helped us stay close to the industry and what they need, which I think is really shifting from a one-fits-all product off the shelf to custom vaccines that only address the issues they're facing instead of trying to put a blanket on everything.
The issue with many infectious diseases is that they mutate over time, so a strain in one herd might be different than a strain in another herd. This is what happened in 2015 with avian influenza, or bird flu. 31 million chickens and turkeys have been impacted in Iowa. In October of the same year, HarrisVaccines was awarded a contract with the USDA to provide 48 million doses of the avian influenza vaccine.
We were contacted immediately by the scientists at a USDA facility, the Southeast Georgia poultry facility, and they were inquired immediately to see if we would be interested in producing a vaccine, and I'm sure that was because of our work with, particularly with porcine epidemic diarrhea virus in pigs, because we'd been able to respond very quickly in that disease situation as well.
HarrisVaccines was prepared to fill the large order from the USDA. The previous year, the company underwent a major expansion, allowing production to expand from roughly 1 million doses a week to over 4 million doses.
It means a lot to me that the money we put into the expansion was really well worth it, and that we were ready to respond to an emergency like this.
In 2015, Dr. Hank Harris received the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award in the manufacturing category for the Upper Midwest. The award recognizes outstanding entrepreneurs who demonstrate excellence and extraordinary success in areas such as innovation, financial performance, and personal commitment to their businesses and communities.
I think to say that he has taken something that was really a novel idea to 10 years later to be a profitable company and to have this team and keep it growing, I think it's very appropriate that he won Entrepreneur for Manufacturing, because it was his leadership and decision to not make us a research biotech company, but to be a manufacturer of vaccines and biologics, and to be very cautious of cash, to reinvest that to grow the company.
I don't think I realized that I was an entrepreneur until this company. And looking back on it, all my life I've looked at particularly infectious disease problems and looked at ways of solving those problems. And sometimes they were associated with a commercial entity, and other times it was just simply problem solving and trying to figure out a way to get that information to the producer and to the veterinarian.
HarrisVaccines is now under the Merck Animal Health umbrella. Hank Harris says his favorite part about work is interacting with his employees, two of which are his sons, Joel and Dylan. The eldest son, Joel, is the head of sales and marketing, while Dylan is a production technician and works on international sales and logistics.
The thrill about having Joel and Dylan in the business is the fact that we never envisioned it. Isabel and I always wanted the boys to go to college, just like my parents did or our parents did for us. But we never gave them any direction as far as what their majors would be or whatever. We just wanted them to go to college and pick their own career paths. And so it's just, it's sort of by serendipity that they've ended up working in the company. And it's really quite a thrill to have them there and to see them every day in that capacity.
I really enjoy it. I think it helps that each of us are specialized in different aspects of the company now. I mean, Hank is the entrepreneur, dreamer, researcher, on to the next thing, and my brother is in the lab and more technical and patient and willing to perform the same tasks over and over again and to improve the methodologies. And then my expertise is more business related and negotiation and talking to customers and creating the image or brand of HarrisVaccines. So there's overlap, but no challenging overlaps.
60 years ago, Hank Harris was a farm boy who loved animals and wanted to become a vet. Even though he left the farm and didn't become a practicing veterinarian, Hank is doing more now for animal health than he ever dreamed. In the far northwest corner of Iowa is the community of Orange City. It's a place that proudly displays its Dutch heritage and traditions. The city is filled with beautiful flower gardens, a downtown windmill square, and many buildings and businesses that tout authentic Dutch architecture. Orange City is home to Northwestern College, a private Christian liberal arts college with 1,200 students. This is also where we find the headquarters of our next Iowa entrepreneur story, Pizza Ranch. Over the last 3 decades, Adri Groneweg and his team have grown Pizza Ranch into nearly 200 franchise locations in 13 states. At the very core of Pizza Ranch is a business that found success in many small towns across Iowa.
We're in towns of less than 1,000 people, and that's that makes us unique. We're spread over Iowa, Minnesota, and you go through these little towns around here, and chances are there's going to be a Pizza Ranch there. The other thing that makes us unique, we're a pizza place, but we also have the country's greatest chicken. We got that trademark, so we can actually say that, and I think it is. So you put the pizza and chicken together. I know there's a lot of businesses that become very involved with the communities, but that's another thing that makes us unique, that we truly do get involved in our communities and we care about our communities, and we know that we won't survive without a thriving community. So
Pizza Ranch gives back to their communities by providing a meeting room to host events and fundraising opportunities for local organizations. The Pizza Ranch story began in 1981 in Hull, Iowa. It was the middle of the farm crisis and full-time jobs were hard to come by. Fresh out of high school, Adri was working 2 part-time jobs, one as a welder and another at a pizza parlor in a nearby town. His experience making pizzas led to an idea.
And I'd come home and tell my dad about how busy it was, and especially on weekends, how many Hall people were coming to this place. And maybe a month later, he came to me and says, I think we should put up a pizza place in town. I said, I don't think it'd ever work. Hall is a small town of 1,700 people. The economy was tanking. It was just hard at that time. And then about a month later, he came back to me and said, you know what, Adrian, I'm really serious about this. I think we need to put a pizza place in town. My dad's never made a pizza, and he's never helped a customer, but he signed the note at the bank. And at that time, interest rates were 17.5%. So it was, he could have lost a lot. I wasn't going to lose anything. I'm just a young kid, 19 years old, didn't really have anything to my name. But we started this place, and my parents actually named it Pizza Corral. And then about a month before we opened up, we found out that name was already taken. So we changed it within an hour to Pizza Ranch.
Pizza Ranch opened for business in Hull, Iowa on December 21st, 1981, on his mother's birthday. And it was an instant success. 2 years later, they added a second location 20 miles away in Orange City. Customers loved the pizza that Adri had created, And in 1984, a businessman from Minnesota came to Adrie with an offer.
And so the guy called us up, wanted to know if he could buy our recipe, and it's like, wow, big compliment. Felt pretty good about that. And as we talked that through, it's like, maybe we should look into franchising instead. So we called a lawyer in Des Moines, and he set up a franchise for us. And the guy, Ron Patrick, agreed to buy a franchise. At the time it was $1,500, and our lawyer bill was like $2,700. And so and we didn't know if we'd ever sell another one. And Ron opened up in Mountain Lake, Minnesota, and started out great. And now we're at 192 stores.
With multiple Pizza Ranch franchise locations sprouting up across the Midwest, Adrie was able to track what was working well at one restaurant and see if it would be successful at all of the Pizza Ranch locations. This is how fried chicken and a buffet were added to the Pizza Ranch menu.
And so as we looked at that, I really dragged my feet on that one because I didn't want to really become a buffet house, because I don't think buffet places always have the best reputation for great food. So I just was leery of that. But as we continued on, more and more customers saying, we want buffet, and it's like, give them what they want. And so with a lot of hesitancy, we started buffet on Tuesday nights, and then Tuesday and Thursday nights. And then we went 3 nights a week, and then we just went full bore because that was, it is what our customers wanted. And yeah, it's been one of our greatest moves we ever made.
In the first decade, Pizza Ranch had expanded to 52 locations in 5 states. No longer a teenager, Adrie realized that he needed assistance to help manage his growing business. Adrie called upon his younger brother Scott and several other individuals to help build on what he had established.
He recognized that as an entrepreneur, that at some point he couldn't do this all himself. He had to pull a team together, and I think in the last 15 years, that's exactly what has happened.
We knew that this is how you're supposed to make a pizza. We knew that, but past that, it has changed so much. And not that it wasn't good back then, it was. I mean, obviously a lot of good things were being done, or we wouldn't be where we're at today. But the things that it's just evolved so much, from how our buildings look to how we train our managers to how we onboard our people. They don't sound like big changes, but they're significant changes.
With his new team, Adrie was able to nearly double the amount of franchises across the Midwest. In 2003, Pizza Ranch hit a monumental milestone as it opened its 100th store. Then, tragedy struck. Adrie suffered a heart attack.
And that really set me to thinking, why are we here, and what is this Pizza Ranch all about? I mean, we're into a lot of communities. We influence a lot of people. There's a lot of people that work for us. And it's like, it's got to be more than just pizza and chicken. There's nothing wrong with pizza and chicken, but it has to be more than that. And spend a lot of time by myself, actually, and just thinking about it, praying about it. It's, God, what do you want here? Why are you giving me this platform to be able to? Leadership is all about influence, and why are you giving me this platform where I can influence people? And just spend a lot of time, prayer about that, and it's like, it's got to be about Him. God has done so much in my life. I could write a book on what He's done for me. And it's like, I can't take credit for it. He's given me my gifts, but He's also opened a lot of doors for me. And we walked through them, but He opened them up for us.
Putting his beliefs into action in 2004, Adrie unveiled the new vision for Pizza Ranch: to glorify God by positively impacting the world. The corporate staff has group prayer and devotion every week. Pizza Ranch finds a way to give back in each franchise location.
He's committed to this vision and this mission, which is very unique, in America. And he brought people together to execute it, and he gives freedom for people to get it done. And I think that's the combination, that no fear attitude, confidence in what he's doing, and then he lets people run with this. So I think that the spirit of the entrepreneur has been passed down to our team, and it's something we really work on and try to have part of our culture here.
He's continued to learn over the years, never satisfied, and he's willing to take a look in the mirror, and he challenges the rest of us to do the same thing. There's so many different aspects in what has made him successful, but I think leading with humility, but at the same time being strong. Those maybe sound like they're contradictory things, but they're not. We're very confident. We all know the direction we're moving. We all know the things we're working on. That's very clear. There's very little gray area. And I think that that's important too, as expectations are extremely clear.
With his brother and 2 sons actively involved with Pizza Ranch, Adri is excited that the business will stay in the family. After all, that's how it started.
That's a different sort of feeling when you realize you're taking care of something that you're going to be handing off to people that are expecting you to take good care of something. And so it adds a little bit of a twist to it, which is really, I'm very proud of that fact. But it's just neat to see that next generation coming up. And yeah, there's a bright future there.
Adri has grown from a teenage entrepreneur into a successful CEO, and his business has grown with him, from 1 restaurant to nearly 200 franchise locations.
34 years is a long time, but it still feels like we're just getting started because things change so much. We're nothing like we were at one time. A lot of our product's the same yet, but it's just a way different business than it was. But I look back at those times and think about where we're at today. It was not my dream. It was not the plan. But it happened because things were presented to us and we took advantage of them.